On your Wednesday episode of Locked On Raptors, halfway through the Raptors season, we got some takes, and you're going to hear about them on today's show.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Wednesday, January the 14th, and I'm your host, Sean Woodley. I've been covering the Raptors now for 12 seasons on various platforms. You can find all my work over on Blue Sky. You can find the show on Instagram. You can join us in the Locked On Raptors Discord server. Link in the description of the podcast. 100% free to join. Come hang out, talk ball among friends. It's a great place to, yell at people who you ultimately like at the end of the day about their bad takes. It's a great thing. Of course, you can follow, subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend on all the podcast apps as well. It's always much appreciated. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're off and running here on your Wednesday edition of the show as we are taking stock at the halfway point. The Raptors play game 42 tonight against the streaking Indiana Pacers. We will talk about that on tomorrow's show, but today we are digging into our reflections upon the first half of the regular season for the Raptors. A pretty successful first half, all things considered, 24-17. Lots of health for their best players, which is very nice. A couple guys have missed some time here and there, but generally pretty good things health-wise compared to the rest of the NBA. Some player development stories and, some stuff that hasn't gone exactly to plan either. And here to dig into our biggest takeaways from the first half of the season is a guy you're going to be seeing a lot more of on this feed, or hearing a lot more from on this feed if you're listening on audio, which we'll explain a little bit later on in the show. That's a tease. It's Zulfi Sheikh. What's going on, brother?
I'm good, Sean. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, super excited to chat a bit more with you guys later on some exciting news. But before that, I'm excited to talk about the Raptors. Like you said, some good, some bad, and a lot to chat about here.
Yeah, so I've assigned you some homework to come up with 3 overarching takeaways from the first half of the Raptors season. I have done the same homework, and we'll compare our notes. We are aligned on one of them, which we'll start with in a second, but we've got some stuff coming up later on Brandon Ingram, on the Immanuel Quickley of it all, and a whole bunch more. We'll do that as we trudge through the next half hour, but let's start here where we both agree Collin Murray-Boyles is one of the stories of the first half of the season for the Toronto Raptors, Zulfi. And for me, my sort of view on it all, 10,000 foot, is that he has significantly brightened the outlook for the Scottie Barnes era simply by arriving on the team and looking as ready as he looks to be an NBA contributor from day one. It's kind of crazy. You don't often expect this with rookies. We've seen it the last couple of years. Grady Dick still trying to figure things out, still maybe not physically at the level you need to be to hang with the physicality of the NBA. Jacoby Walter took some time last year to get his feet wet, and same again this year. But Collin Murray-Boyles just come in and looked rock solid and right at home from day one. And it's not just the style of player he is, where he's kind of like this Swiss Army knife who I think is going to be able to do a whole lot of things, plug a whole lot of holes for you. The way he's filled in behind Jakob Poeltl at center has been unbelievably impressive considering how bereft they've been of options behind Jok in the past. He's just stepped in and made it work. And the fact that he's on a rookie deal and already giving you like above average NBA production in year one, it's kind of a huge deal in the modern NBA where cheap guys who do good things for you are kind of the market inefficiency that helps you build a good team. I could not be more thrilled with what we've seen from Collin Murray-Boyles, and it seems as though you are similarly aligned with me on this one.
Yeah, look, I was ready to get very hyperbolic here. I think Collin Murray-Boyles is untouchable. I said damn near in my notes, but I'll say it. I think Collin Murray-Boyles is at the point where he's untouchable in trade talks, unless you are obviously offering me Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, or Giannis Antetokounmpo. I had to go through names last night thinking about this. If I was offered Donovan Mitchell, I think the smart thing to do is say yes for a trade involving Collin Murray-Boyles. But the fact that I'm thinking about saying no is just a testament to how good Collin Murray-Boyles has been as a rookie. And maybe to some people that seems a little outlandish considering he's averaging like 7, 5, and 2. But like you said, Sean, he's just been so poised for a rookie. He is just physically this bruising body kid that plays so much bigger than he looks. and he looks massive, by the way. And he just has the instincts for what you want next to a guy like Scottie Barnes, like you said. He's a magnet for rebounds, and I love even when he's not in position to grab a rebound, he's always tipping them in the right direction. He knows what to be doing on the floor. I think of him as like a savant in the dunker spot where he flows in and out just in the most opportune times. His instincts around that area is also so strong as well. And he's just a high-end processor on the floor. He's a good decision maker. And like you said, Sean, when the top end of this roster is as expensive as it is, you need these draft picks to be hits. And out of the recent crop of draft picks that you have on this team, it goes without saying that Collin Murray-Boyles is very much the biggest hit so far. I've seen other people say it where he's arguably the best defender the Raptors have drafted in their rookie year, maybe next to OG Anunoby, and you can have a debate there if you want, but Collin Murray-Boyles is very much in that conversation. I think he should be a lock for the all-rookie team right now, especially if he continues on this trajectory. And I have so much hope for this guy because even the stuff where his game is a bit weaker, you believe in the potential there because you've seen enough flashes so far where like the jump shot has come and gone at times, but it's still way further along than I think many of us expected coming out of the draft, especially from distance. He's shooting 36%. It's low volume, but he's willing to take those shots, which we like. The in-between stuff, I honestly am not that concerned with the finishing, even though the numbers haven't been the most ecstatic. They've been good, but not great. But I think it's honestly just more volume for me. I want to see him drive more. I want to see him go through contact a bit more in the NBA because I think he has the creativity to finish at a decent level. But the fact that, again, he's shown it in enough spurts combined with all the good stuff that we have already seen, I just have so much belief in his potential. And then just to put a bow on this, when a guy is like the first game against the 76ers, that was just incredible. 17 points tied his career high, 15 rebounds tied his career high. Then he gives you 3 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks with it, which is something only 6 rookies have done since 1973, by the way, 2 of which are Hall of Famers in David Robinson and Ralph Sampson. So pretty good company. And CMB was the youngest and shortest of those 6 players to have that stat limit. So when you're doing things that barely happened in NBA history, you're having a pretty good rookie year.
Yeah, and I think for me, what's so exciting is how moldable he seems. Like I think there's still so much to kind of be filled in as far as like what the final picture of Collin Murray-Boyles as a player is going to be. The defense, I think it's pretty clear. He's going to be a top of the line, all defense competitive defensive player for a very long time, as long as he stays healthy. The lateral quickness, the strength, the length of his arms, they just go for days, man. He's got the vacuum hands on the defensive glass when he's reaching in to sort of poke balls free. He's just got anvils at the end of those things. It's really impressive what he's doing defensively. I don't think it can be overstated. Like, I think he's probably performed as the best defensive prospect out of this draft class. Maybe Cooper Flagg is in there, but Cooper's obviously carrying a lot of offensive burden for that Mavs team too. Murray-Boyles just kind of brings it in a way you don't expect from a 20-year-old rookie on that end of the floor out of the gate. It's been wildly impressive and well beyond. I thought, hey, he can be like a competent, mildly plus defender in year one coming out of the draft. He's superseded those expectations by a mile as well. And then on offense, like the passing, the connectivity, I think the finishing is going to come along just fine. I mean, he's 68% at the rim right now, which is better than most guys on this team. It's a team that struggles to finish at the rim at times. He's right. Like that's what Scottie Barnes is shooting at the rim right now. Like that's a perfectly fine clip to be at as a rookie. He's super strong and he's got great touch and kind of feel and English on those little layups and push shots he puts up around the rim. And, it'll come along, right? Do I think he's going to be a guy who's like stepping into 18-foot middies all the time? No, but I think he's just going to be the kind of guy who can play with all different kinds of players. I think the fact that he's already shown he can play the 5 credibly in the NBA is like such a huge thing for the different types of looks and deployments they're going to be able to throw out there with Murray-Boyles. The short roll play from him, I think, is going to be a huge component for him going forward. And you mentioned the dunker spot stuff. I'm so excited to just watch for the next 5-10 years, Scottie Barnes throwing cool passes to Collin Murray-Boyles in the dunker spot. It's just instant buckets. It's really fun. And I bet we'll see some of the inverse of that as well as they give Murray-Boyles a little more in terms of reps with the ball in his hands and in that short roll stuff too. So yeah, Collin Murray-Boyles, he rocks. We are very much in. I have to ask you, Zulfi, it's an important rite of passage. If you're going to be joining the family, which again, we'll talk about later on, I need you to take up the mantle of making sure that the stock pot becomes the recognized nickname for Collin Murray-Boyles. We're really trying to make it work. The stock pot is boiling. In fact, I need you to you have to swear an oath that you're going to uphold it and just call him that going forward and avoid this CMB nonsense. We need to do better than the initials.
Okay, I like it. I'll be honest, that's my first time hearing stockpot, but I think it fits. I agree with you that initial nicknames are kind of lame. We can be more creative than that. Think of guys in the past, like the Answer or the Flash for Dwayne Wade. So let's be a bit more creative.
Yeah, we got to do better. We've gone through the looking glass. SGA has officially ruined initial names. It's a bummer. We're going to come back on the other side here, Zulfi, rattle off a few more of our broad, big 10,000-foot takeaways from the Toronto Raptors season, including why I think the Brandon Ingram trade is very much already a slam dunk success. We'll do that coming up in just one sec. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays feel a little different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Open the FanDuel app during happy hour, and you're always going to find something new. Boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect right before games, right before the weekend starts. It adds energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. I love watching basketball on a Friday, baby. Maybe you have a cold one. Maybe you order some pizza, whatever it is. And while you're sitting there with your bounty of riches from the fridge and from your delivery apps, you can also throw a couple of bets down on NBA Happy Hour between 6 and 7:30 Eastern time every single Friday. Check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour. Again, 6 to 7:30 Eastern on Fridays. A little basketball, a little action, a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Today's show is also brought to you by Wayfair. The new year is here, and it's the perfect time to reset your routine and refresh your space. If you're spending more time at home, you might as well love how it looks and feels. That's why you should turn to Wayfair. It's a one-stop shop for getting your home back on track. From bedding and mattresses to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair makes it easy to start the year fresh. We're having to kind of reimagine our space a little bit right now because our little baby is starting to crawl everywhere, and so we have to baby-proof things and realize, maybe that table's not exactly structurally sound. We should replace that table. Wayfair is a great place for us to go and find the replacement table that is structurally sound, that the crawling baby with, a knack for grabbing things is not going to pull down onto himself. All kinds of great stuff over there on Wayfair if you need to refresh your space, no matter the occasion as we get into the new year. Get organized, refresh, and back on track this new year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Back at it here with Zulfi Sheikh, who again will be revealing why he's here later on in the show. Of course, we just have you on the show regularly anyway, but there's a special reason for today, which you got to stick around to the end of the show to find out. Before we get into our next big takeaways on the season, a reminder, the Locked On Raptors Every Dayer Club is now open to be signed up for. $5 a month, $50 for the year gets you ad-free episodes of this here podcast every day, and also access to a Locked On Discord. It's separate from the free Locked On Raptors Discord. It's just a Discord with Locked On listeners from across the world. And I'm excited to hang out there during the Olympics when all kinds of crazy sports are happening and everyone's just kind of abuzz. And look, it's better than being on Twitter to talk about sports. I can promise you that. So sign up, link in the description of the podcast. Come hang out and support the show by joining the Everydayer Club. All right, Zulfi, next big takeaways on the first half of the season. I'll go first with mine, and I want to hear what you think. The Brandon Ingram trade is just a full-on success at this point. I think it is pretty much, things can go wrong in the next little while. We have no idea what's going to come, but so far, this trade has worked basically exactly as intended. Scottie Barnes is better for it. He's been opened up as this two-way monster who's not overburdened on the offensive end of the floor. RJ Barrett is back and thriving in his streamlined role where he was very successful after coming over to Toronto from the Knicks in the back part of the 23-24 season. The offense now has just a backstop insurance in the event that the first 20 seconds of a clock don't produce something. Brandon Ingram can go and bail out a possession in a way that they just have not had someone to do before. I think you got some diversity in how the offense works now too, because Ingram almost runs counter to how the Raptors play at times and how like the modern NBA goes. But I think that's a good thing, a nice little thing to throw in of like, okay, this possession, we're not going to run down your throats. We're just going to have Ingram kind of go to work and make it all happen. And I don't even think Ingram has necessarily been like universally great across the board. He could bog things down a little bit. Some possessions where he slows the pace when what it feels like they need is a little more pace can be a little annoying and tiring at times. But, all told, I think the contribution he's made to the offense has been pretty significant, even if like the playmaking has been pretty underwhelming too. Like the decision making out of double teams and stuff has not been what you want. All that said, he's been healthy. He's been productive. He's kind of defended his ass off as well over the last couple of months after a rough start. And I think he's just kind of done everything you could have wanted to raise the credibility of the offense, raise the floor of the team. And to me, Zulfi, we've talking a lot about Kyle Lowry the last couple of days. His running mate, DeMar DeRozan, I've been thinking a lot about too, watching Brandon Ingram. And I know some may think this is some sort of pejorative because DeMar DeRozan is a little mercurial, especially with how things ended and his playoff performances. But DeMar was such a floor raiser for the Raptors, and I very much feel like Brandon Ingram is kind of DeMar coded in what he brings to this team as well. Except I also think we've seen he's got the capacity to be a playoff riser as opposed to a playoff dropper. But all told, man, just like very, very happy with the Brandon Ingram experience so far. And yeah, that Pacers pick that was in the trade ended up back in the Pacers' hands, and through some crazy bad luck with Tyrese Halliburton tearing his Achilles, it's going to be a good pick. It's also like top 4 protected, so it may not have even conveyed this year, considering what the Pacers have done. I'm not trading that pick one bit, and the other guys out the door, Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, and a second-round pick, do not care. Home run trade. It's absolutely worked as intended, and I think it's got to be lauded as a pretty big success story for the front office. Where are you at with the Brandon Ingram trade before you get to your next big takeaway?
Yeah, look, I'm in complete agreement with you, Sean. I think we agree, and a lot of fans will agree, that Brandon Ingram is far from a perfect player, but he was the type of player the Raptors sorely needed. Like you said, a release valve on offense, especially in the late clock stuff. You saw it earlier in the season when the Raptors offense was maybe doing a bit better than they have for the last third, if you want to call it, where they were toggling really well between, like you said, the pace and playing faster. But then when Brandon Ingram has the ball in his hands and he was able to kind of work the shot clock down a little bit and get those looks, they were doing that really well, and they're very effective with it. And just beyond that as well, the fact that Brandon Ingram leads his team in scoring, you make the cascading effect of that for, like you said, Scottie Barnes. I think especially for RJ Barrett, putting him in a tertiary role and making him just this elite play finisher instead of a playmaker goes a very long way for what the team wants to accomplish on that end of the floor. And beyond that, I think in some ways he's also exceeded expectations, and knock on wood, just the fact that he's been so healthy. Brandon Ingram was top 3 in total minutes in the league for a bit. Obviously, he just missed 2 games with a thumb injury. He's still top 25, I believe. But the fact that he's on pace for his healthiest season since his rookie year when he played 79 games, I believe he's on pace for like 78 right now, is just a testament to the work he's put in the offseason after joining this team and the commitment he's given, the work that the Raptors training staff and Alex McKechnie have done to keep him healthy. So that has already exceeded expectations that what a lot of fans had, that I probably had, in terms of how healthy he was going to be. And if you're going to get this kind of Brandon Ingram for that many games in the season, I think based on what you gave up, like you said, Sean, it's a pretty big home run move for this Raptors franchise that have put them in a much better position than they were last year without Brandon Ingram, if you look at where their trajectory was.
Yeah. Look, man, I know there's some detractors to the whole, like, hey, just get as much talent as possible and incrementally improve team building model. This is why I'm a big advocate for that. Like, you just get better players on your team, and through cascading effects of getting those better players, everyone else can kind of improve as well. And all of a sudden you're a team that's on pace to win 48 games and has a future to look forward to in a way they maybe didn't before they went and got Brandon Ingram. And this sort of big vacuum for scoring very much existed within the team's dynamics. Zulfi, what you got for your next big takeaway on the first half of the season?
Yeah, it kind of plays into that idea I was saying, and you mentioned a little bit too about how the Raptors have exceeded expectations in some areas. I think my takeaway is they've hit this real sweet spot between, yes, they've exceeded expectations in some capacity, but they've also have so much room to improve and be even better and raise their ceiling further. So like you said, if the season ended today, this is a 48-win team based on their pace, and they would be the 4th seed. We're talking about a team that would then be holding home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs. This is after 4 years of not making the playoffs and winning 30 games last year. They're led by 2 all-star caliber guys. Scottie Barnes, I think, is probably in Defensive Player of the Year conversation. He's already past all defense team. I think that's a shoe-in. Ingram, like we just talked about, And then you look at some of the other guys who have overperformed with Jamal Shed. He's one of the top, I'd say, 10 backup point guards in the league. Sandro Mamukelashvili might be the steal of the summer. He's at least one of the top 5 free agent signings. The defense is top 10. They've peaked at top 5 level at times, and we already praised CMB. So much has gone well for this team and gone over expectations that you're really happy about. But you mentioned it. There's areas where they could definitely still improve and adjust, whether that's through roster construction. I'm looking at a guy like Ochai Agbaji or Immanuel Quickley and their inconsistent play and how that can get better. The logjam you have with these young wing guards with Grady, Jamison Battle, again, Ochai, and hell, you just added more into it now with AJ Lawson and Elijah Martin playing with this team a bit more. And you haven't really seen that bear fruit yet. Like no one's really come out of that crop yet. And
someone please grab the job, man. I'm dying here.
Exactly. So you're hoping that happens in the back half of the season. And speaking of back, Jakob's back is still pretty much cooked right now. We don't really know when he's going to be back and healthy and if they're going to have a real backup center for him. So there's so much room to continue to raise the ceiling. I can very much see this team being a 50-win ball club if they make some of these adjustments. But the fact that they're on a 48-win pace, the fact that they are the 4th seed and they've had these exceeding performances up and down the roster, I think is just showing how far this team has come in a short amount of time. And I think they're really threading that needle right now very well.
Absolutely, man. Look, maybe there are people out there who are on the sort of side of despair and doomerism who are like, these two homers are just so happy and like a pro Raptor. Yeah, they're on a 48-win pace. It's great. I'm thrilled. I'm a pig in the slop right now watching a team winning basketball games, and I'm with you. Like the overachievement, like there's nothing more fun than when you overachieve as a team. It's like the sort of the source of all of the best seasons of your entire life. If you think back in every sport you've watched, right? Like exceeding expectations is the single best formula for having fun watching the local sports team play sports. And they're doing that this year. To your point, like I think there is some upward mobility from where they are right now. I think they're leaving a little bit on the table as far as like their 3-point shooting is in like a serious slump right now. That's going to bounce back, as I talked about it on yesterday's show. I still think the best days of Immanuel Quickley lie ahead of us based on what we've seen in the first half of the year. We'll see about Pirtle. Who knows? But yeah, like I think you have to be pretty happy with how things have gone. Ultimately, yeah, like we've seen some like low points too, right? December was rough. Without RJ Barrett, the offense really became creaky and nasty and no good, but the defense has held up all the way through. They've been a top 10 defense now for a calendar year. Like that's a big thing, I think, as far as like exceeding expectations as well. Yeah, man, like I don't think you can really be a realistic person and sort of look at the team and say, hey, this is not like one of the best possible outcomes that we could have seen for this season. Things are going in the right direction. And I've always said this, like being good begets getting better, right? Like this is the thing. If you're good and relevant, that opens up all kinds of avenues for how you take the next steps into being even better. And I kind of want to get into that a little bit coming up in just a sec here, Zulfi, as we get into our final takeaways. And I want to get into the Immanuel Quickley of it all and the upgrades that have become pretty clearly needed based on what we've seen in the first half of the year. We'll talk about that coming up in just one sec. Today's show is brought to you by ZocDoc. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. You want someone in network nearby with availability, but you also want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, explains things clearly, and helps you walk out feeling confident about your next steps. Your diamond in the rough doctor exists, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can choose someone you truly connect with. And look, you can find people who have specialties in certain symptoms or chronic things that you might be dealing with, and you can find the right fit. That way, you're able to choose in-person or video visits, making scheduling way easier. Sometimes you just don't got the time to go to the damn doctor, but you should still see the damn doctor. And this online or in-person option makes it super easy to do that. You can check the verified patient reviews to get a real sense of the doctor's vibe and communication style. And the real-time availability means you can book instantly, no phone tag, and you can get those appointments booked within 24 to 72 hours. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedInNBA and find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedInNBA, ZocDoc.com/LockedInNBA. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this podcast. Wrapping things up here with Zulfi Sheikh as we continue to run through our big, broad takeaways from the first half of the Raptors season. And I will go with my final one here, Zulfi. I think for me, the first half of the season has proven that the Raptors can, in fact, be a fun, high 40s win quality team as currently constructed. Imperfections and all, they've got enough going for them. There's enough depth. There's enough top end talent between Ingram and Barnes and sort of dudes chipping in off the bench that this team, clearly as constructed, can overcome its deficiencies to be one of the, the six best teams in the Eastern Conference, if you want to put a number on it, right? Like, I think that's pretty clear. This is a playoff level team as constructed. That said, IQ struggles with lead creation have been one of the negative through lines of the first half of the season. I think obviously he's not been helped by the absence of Jakob Poeltl. He's probably the most impacted by not having his pick and roll pal out there. But I think it speaks to the limitations of Quickley that he is so dependent upon having a big man to work pick and roll with to really find space to operate and create in the half court. It's just a deficiency he has. It is what it is. He's not so bad at the job that it's like a must upgrade now type of thing. Because again, you can be a fun 40s something win team and have that be a thing that you do for a couple of years even. And it's a lot of fun and it's cool and good and you're happy with it. But at some point, they will have to upgrade on Immanuel Quickley if they want to win at the highest level. I think that's pretty clear. Maybe this isn't even like a hot take. Probably not. It's pretty lukewarm. But based on what we've seen, they need some lead guard upgrades somewhere. And hey, maybe it's not even Quickley. Maybe it's something where it's like RJ Barrett has turned into like a big lead guard type who's a little bit more sizable than your typical 6'1" point guard type. And you have yourself sort of an inverse backcourt where your two guards, a 6'3" guy, and your point guard's a little bigger or whatever, right? There are ways you can do this, all kinds of different player archetypes out there. But I think one way or another, they're going to need a lead guard upgrade. And Quickley's the easiest guy to look at and say, hey, like if they had a better guy than him, this team probably takes off. Again, it's not to say that it's a dire thing that they need to address before the deadline. They don't need to dump Quickley for nothing just to get him off the books. It's not that dire. He's not as bad as people like to make him out to be. He does good things. He wins his minutes on the floor. His shooting is very important, even if his shot's not falling the way you would hope it is. But if we're looking at this season as an information gathering time, the information has been gathered. Quickley's just not going to cut it as the lead guard for this team if they want to win the championship or win the conference at some point in the next couple of years. And so, yeah, some point during the Scottie Barnes era over the next 4 or 5 years, they'll have to make an upgrade of some level, of some persuasion if they want to do it. I think that is something we've clearly learned based on the first 41 games. Are you in agreement on this one, Zulfi?
Yeah, look, I think it's very telling that when we see Immanuel Quickley typically have his best games in a Raptors uniform, it's when he's looking like the Immanuel Quickley in New York again. It's off-ball stuff. It's playing like a shooting guard again. It's next to a guy like Jamal Shed who's doing some of the orchestration down the stretch. And you recently saw it in that first game against the 76ers when it was Jamal Shed and Immanuel Quickley closing and the ball was in Shed's hands more than anything, right? I think that says a lot. Like you said, Immanuel Quickley can do a lot of important things for this team. I don't think the Raptors need to get antsy or drastic. Would it be nice to get off that contract at some point? Yes. But given the fact that it's a flat rate for Immanuel Quickley and it's not rising, it's only going to look better as the salary cap in the NBA rises, and that number is going to be smaller relatively. So if you're looking at when he has 1 or 2 years left on that deal, it's going to be easier to trade. It's going to be a more movable contract. So I don't think they need to be hasty with it necessarily. But I do agree with you that if you're looking for where this team can improve to really raise that ceiling to that upper echelon of the Eastern Conference or contention, you very much do think it has to be that point guard position with Immanuel Quickley. And just the fact that you want to get guys who can make those high-level reads to get a rolling Scottie Barnes towards the rim more. Collin Murray-Boyles, I know he's not Jakob Poeltl as a screener, but he's a guy who works like really well in the short roll, like you said, Sean. And you've seen it in these last couple of games where they've had moments where maybe Quickley missed a read where he could have gotten to Stockpot, if you want to call him. I'll remember that nickname now, and kind of get him going a little bit. So look, there's potential there for upgrades, and I think that's something they have to look into. You hope to have, honestly, Immanuel Quickley raise his value a little bit. I don't think it's very high right now at all. So if he can play a little better, if the shot can go in a bit more, it helps your chances. But yeah, I do agree with you. That's a position they just have to have circled to see if they can improve some stuff.
Yeah, and the improvement is not trading for Ja Morant. I will get that out there right now. That's not the way to do this. You can, again, to the point of it's okay to be patient with this. It doesn't have to be at the deadline. It doesn't even have to be this summer. It can be in a year and a half, 2 years, whenever the right thing comes along. Like, they'll just have to eventually do it. Again, it's not a situation where it's so dire that it's like they can't win games with this level of guard play. They clearly can win games with this level of guard play. This is just team building, right? You identify your imperfections, and over time, you're opportunistic and you address them when you can. Zulfi, what was your final big takeaway from the first half of the year?
Yeah, my final takeaway is one that I think is going to hopefully extend and bode well for their postseason aspirations. The Raptors have been a very clutch team so far in the NBA.
Yeah.
They're 14-6 in the clutch. That's the third best win percentage. And I just also want to mention the fact that they are middle of the pack in terms of total clutch minutes, which I think is actually a positive indicator. You don't want to lead the league in clutch minutes. That means you're in a lot of close games, which sounds good, but that also means you're in close games with teams you shouldn't be in close games with.
Sure,
Dallas Mavericks lead the league in clutch minutes, and they're 10 games under 500, by the way. But look, they have the best defensive rating in the clutch. They are grinding teams out. They are doing this where their offense is still pretty much bottom third of the league in the clutch. So the fact that their defense has really carried the load where they're holding teams to the third fewest points, fourth highest opponent turnover rate, I think says a lot. And I think I was looking at the numbers, and what really did surprise me, and this speaks to RJ Barrett a lot, he leads the NBA in fourth quarter net rating and plus minus this season.
Crazy.
It's guys who have played over 15 games and play over 8 minutes a game in the fourth quarter. But the fact that he gets to have this tertiary role with all the other stuff that we mentioned with Scottie Barnes and Brandon Ingram taking over, having RJ Barrett be that guy in those tight situations for you to have that simplified role, I think really just elevates what this Raptors teams can do in those clutch situations. You've seen it in recent games, and this just where the Raptors are right now as a high pressure team compared to where they were the last couple of seasons is like night and day. And it's just going to bode so well for them in the playoffs, hopefully, where things only get tighter and more physical, right? You're going to be able to get away with a bit more defensively, and this Raptors team is going to really take advantage of that, I think. And the fact that they've looked so strong so far in clutch situations, I think it's going to bode well for them.
Yeah, I will say, I think they need to figure out the offense in clutch situations a little bit more. Like, you have a lot of dudes with like pretty ugly shooting splits. Brandon Ingram shooting 33% in clutch situations. Scottie's under 40%. The leader in clutch field goal percentage for the Toronto Raptors. Jakob Poeltl, give him clutch player of the year, baby. 83% in clutch situations. But like, I do think as much as the offense has been a little bit of a grind, and I think they're still figuring out the balance of how much Ingram ball do we want here? Like, I think the defense has just been so damn good in those situations that it becomes sort of their lead crunch time weapon. And this has been a thing that Raptors teams of the past have been very good with as well, right? Just like, you know, again, I think of the 2019-20 team, my favorite team of all time. That team was a killer crunch time team, and it was just because you could not score on them when they really locked in. And I think we're seeing that with this Raptors team. We even saw it in that game against the Sixers, right? It wasn't a clutch game by any means, but like they realized, oh, the only way we're getting back into this is if we kind of get to our peak scramble mode on defense. And they can hit that level and sustain it for like a pretty long stretch. They held the Sixers to 35 points in that second half. And I don't think it was the Sixers just like taking the foot off the gas. Like the Raptors were affecting those possessions pretty significantly. They're the number one crunch time defense team in the league so far. 20 crunch time games played, 97.2 defensive rating in those situations. Better than the Lakers, better than the Thunder, better than the Pistons. That's awesome. And I think it's their real weapon, which again brings me back to a thing I started a couple weeks ago. Scottie Barnes for clutch player of the year based only on his defensive efforts in clutch time. There we go. That's going to do it. We've got our takes out there, Zulfi. That means it's time to announce something cool and fun to wrap up the show. Zulfi, do you want to tell people what you're going to be doing on this feed starting, I believe, on Sunday and who you're going to be doing it with?
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. I'm very excited to say that I'm joining the Locked On Raptors family. As we mentioned, myself and Duane Notice are going to be hosting the Raptors Postcast. That is a Toronto Raptors post-game podcast reaction show after every single game. For those that don't know, Duane, professional basketball player, Canadian. He's represented the country. He's been part of the Raptors and Raptors 905 system previously. If you followed the CEBL like myself and Sean, he plays in that league as well. Duane and I have been talking for a while. We're very excited to be doing this. We're going to be, again, after every game, reacting live with the everydayers. And like Sean mentioned, January 18th, this Sunday against the Lakers is going to be our first show. It's going to be on this YouTube feed here, audio platforms, whether that's Apple or Spotify, wherever you find your audio shows. So it's going to be there as well. And we're going to be putting the everydayers to the test. We're starting this on a West Coast road trip. So these shows are going to be starting a little late. So hopefully you're there with us live, if not catching it in the morning. But yeah, we're super excited to be taking on this project and building something new for the Locked On Raptors family. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So please tune in.
Yeah, it's going to fill in a major gap in my coverage, which is just like, I don't like to record shows late at night. I'm a sleepy guy. And so I rarely ever do instant post-game reaction. And so Zulfi and Duane, I think you're going to do a killer job with that. The regular show's staying exactly as is. We'll be here every day. We'll do the good, the bad, and the all that stuff after games. But you guys are going to have your own sort of format and little segments and stuff you'll work in to meet people right after games. It's live, correct?
Yes, it's going to be live, and it's going to be available after the fact as well.
Hell yeah. Yeah, looking forward to it. Really happy to have you guys both part of the Locked On family, and you'll be on the show plenty, I'm sure, now that we are officially co-workers, baby.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Go follow Zulfi and subscribe to all of his great stuff. And yeah, be ready for Sunday after the game against the Lakers, the first Locked On Raptors postcast with Zulfi and Duane Notice, who you may remember. He's been on the podcast before. Also was, in the Final Four for South Carolina not so long ago in the NCAA tournament. Duane's awesome. He also really likes movies. I cannot wait for movie content to be woven into the postcast.
He said it. He said he's going to be making a lot of movie references. So be on the lookout.
We love it. Hell yeah. That's going to do it. Thank you so much for rocking with the show. Follow, subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. Join the Everydayer Club. Link in the description of the podcast. Get these ad-free episodes, $5 a month, $50 for the year. It's a great deal, and it helps support me and the show, and it's a lovely thing you can go and do if you like the show and have enjoyed listening to it for free for all of these years. We will leave it there. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Ugh.